The neon lights of Shanghai painted the evening sky in shades of electric blue and warm amber, casting a vibrant glow over the bustling streets. It was a city that never truly slept, pulsing with an energy that matched the excitement of the entertainment world. Amidst this glittering backdrop, actress Tian Xiwei found herself tucked away in a quiet, high-end studio loft, deep into a grueling schedule of promotional interviews and photo shoots. Her days had blended into a blur of endless script readings, wardrobe changes, and camera flashes, leaving her physically exhausted but professionally fulfilled. Yet, beneath her bright, professional smile, there was a quiet longing for a moment of genuine stillness and comfort away from the relentless public eye. Across town, wrapped in the shadows of a sleek black car navigating the congested evening traffic, actor Zhang stared out the window with a quiet intensity. For weeks, their demanding respective schedules had kept them continents and provinces apart, turning phone calls and fleeting text messages into their only lifelines. But tonight was different, because Zhang had secretly managed to clear a crucial 2-day window in his calendar. Driven by a sudden, overwhelming impulse to see her and break the monotony of their separation, he had boarded an early flight to Shanghai without giving Tian Xiwei the slightest hint of his impending arrival. The air inside the production studio was thick with the scent of fresh coffee, hairspray, and the low murmur of tired staff members rushing to wrap up the day's final tasks. Tian Xiwei sat at a vanity mirror, her head resting lightly in her hands as her makeup artist gently touched up her powder for the last segment of the night. She looked at her reflection, letting out a soft sigh that carried the weight of a long, exhausting week. Her thoughts drifted back to the brief phone conversation they had shared that morning, where Zhang had teasingly complained about a heavy rehearsal schedule in another city, expertly planting a convincing decoy to throw her completely off his real trail. Little did she know, the black car carrying Zhang had just slipped past the building's underground security gates and parked quietly in the reserved loading bay. He stepped out into the cool night air, pulling the brim of his black baseball cap low over his forehead and adjusting the collar of his heavy winter coat. Accompanying him was only his trusted manager, who carried a simple, unassuming paper bag holding a warm, traditional dessert that Tian Xiwei had frequently mentioned craving during their late-night chats. Every step Zhang took toward the private elevator felt charged with a mix of nervous anticipation and the pure, boyish excitement of a surprise reunion. Upstairs, the production crew was frantically setting up the lighting for a final promotional video clip, completely unaware of the high-profile visitor making his way up the private service shaft. The elevator doors slid open silently on the 4th floor, revealing a dimly lit corridor lined with equipment cases and draped clothing racks. Zhang walked with a quiet, purposeful stride, his heart beating a little faster against his ribs with every passing door number. He paused for a brief second outside the main dressing room, taking a deep breath to steady himself before signaling his manager to hang back just around the corner. Inside the dressing room, the director poked his head through the doorway to announce that they were ready for Tian Xiwei's final appearance on set. Tian Xiwei nodded gracefully, offering a reassuring smile to her team as she stood up, smoothing down the fabric of her elegant evening dress. She grabbed her phone from the table, quickly, checking the screen for any unread messages, a tiny flicker of disappointment crossing her face when she saw no new notifications from Zhang. Shrugging off the feeling with a playful roll of her eyes, she turned around toward the exit, ready to power through the final stretch of her workday. As she stepped out into the hallway, the familiar silhouette of a tall figure standing near the shadows caught her completely off guard. She froze in her tracks, her breath hitching in her throat as the figure stepped forward into the warm overhead light of the corridor. The baseball cap lifted just enough to reveal a pair of familiar, affectionate eyes and a warm, lopsided smile that she would recognize anywhere in the world. For a split second, her brain refused to process the reality of what was happening, convincing her tired mind that she was simply hallucinating due to sheer exhaustion. "Ling," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the hum of the studio's central air conditioning system. Zhang didn't say a word at first. Instead, he closed the distance between them in 2 long strides, his eyes shining with pure fondness. The sudden realization hit Tian Xiwei like a warm wave, washing away all the fatigue of the long week in a single, breathtaking second. Her hands flew up to cover her mouth in utter disbelief, her wide eyes sparkling with a sudden rush of happy tears that threatened to spill over her lashes. Without another thought, Zhang opened his arms wide, welcoming her into an embrace that felt like coming home after a very long journey. Tian Xiwei practically threw herself forward, burying her face into the soft wool of his coat as his arms wrapped securely around her waist, lifting her slightly off the floor in pure joy. The tension that had built up in her shoulders over weeks of hard work instantly melted away, replaced by the comforting warmth of his presence and the familiar scent of his cologne. For a few stolen moments, the chaotic world around them completely ceased to exist, leaving only the sound of their synchronized breathing in the quiet hallway. A few crew members walking past stopped dead in their tracks, their eyes widening in absolute shock as they realized who was standing right in front of them. Whispers and suppressed gasps instantly rippled through the small group of staff, who quickly realized they were witnessing a remarkably sweet, unscripted moment between two of China's most beloved young stars. Realizing they were suddenly drawing an audience, Tian Xiwei gently pulled back, her cheeks flushing a bright, rosy pink as she playfully swatted at Zhang Linghe's chest. "You absolute liar," she accused with a breathless giggle, her voice trembling slightly from the sheer emotional high of the surprise. "You said you were stuck across the province all day." Zhang Ling laughed softly, a rich, genuine sound that crinkled the corners of his eyes, completely unapologetic for his elaborate deception. "Well, an actor has to have a few good tricks up his sleeve, especially when it comes to surprising the hardest working person in Shanghai," he teased gently, reaching up to wipe a stray tear from her cheek with the pad of his thumb. His touch was achingly tender, conveying a depth of care that spoke volumes louder than any scripted lines they had ever delivered on a television set. The genuine affection radiating between them was so palpable that even the surrounding crew members found themselves smiling warmly, quietly pulling out their phones to capture the sweet scene. Just then, his manager stepped forward with a knowing smile, gently handing over the unassuming paper bag they had brought along from across town. Zhang Ling took it and opened the top, pulling out a steaming container of Tian Xiwei's favorite traditional sweet soup that he had specially procured from a renowned local bakery. "I remembered you saying yesterday that you were craving this, and since I happened to be flying in anyway, I thought I would make sure you actually got to eat properly tonight," he explained, his tone laced with affectionate devotion. Tian Xiwei's eyes lit up with absolute delight, her heart swelling with gratitude as she accepted the warm treat, deeply touched by his thoughtfulness. The impromptu reunion quickly transformed the mood of the entire backstage area, injecting a wave of infectious happiness and warmth into the tired production team. The director, who had initially stepped out to check on the delay, broke into a wide grin and warmly told Tian Xiwei to take a well-deserved 15-minute break to catch up with her unexpected guest. Hand in hand, the pair walked over to a quiet corner of the dressing room, sitting side by side on a plush velvet sofa while the rest of the crew respectfully gave them their space. They chatted in low, murmuring tones, sharing small updates about their respective projects, laughing over silly mishaps, and simply relishing the unexpected gift of each other's company. As the minutes ticked by, the sweet reality of the moment began to settle deep into their hearts, offering a rare sanctuary of peace amidst the whirlwind of their celebrity lives. Zhang Ling listened intently as Tian Xiwei animatedly recounted the funny challenges of her day's shoot, occasionally reaching out to brush a stray lock of hair away from her face. His undivided attention and genuine interest made her feel like she was the only person in the entire city, completely shielding her from the external pressures and noise of the entertainment industry. It was clear to anyone watching that their bond extended far beyond professional courtesy, built on a foundation of mutual respect, deep admiration, and a very real, tender fondness. Outside the studio windows, the Shanghai night continued to unfold with its usual glittering glamour, unaware of the quiet magic happening inside Room 4. Social media, however, was already beginning to stir as one of the crew members quietly posted a vague, glowing hint about a sweet surprise visit on a popular fan forum. Within minutes, speculation began to run wild across the internet, with fans piecing together flight logs, location clues, and accidental sightings around the studio district. The online community erupted into a frenzy of excitement, with hashtags celebrating the unexpected reunion trending rapidly across major platforms as fans melted over the sheer romance of the gesture. Inside the room, completely oblivious to the digital storm brewing outside, Tian Xiwei finished her sweet soup and let out a contented sigh of pure satisfaction. She leaned her head gently against Zhang Linghe's shoulder, feeling the steady, rhythmic rise and fall of his chest as he wrapped a protective arm around her shoulders. "You really didn't have to fly all the way here just for a quick visit," she murmured softly, though her slight smile betrayed how profoundly happy she was that he had. Zhang Ling pressed a light, affectionate kiss to the top of her head, his voice warm and resolute as he answered without a moment's hesitation. "There is nowhere else in the world I would rather be tonight." The brief respite came to an end all too soon as the assistant director knocked gently on the door to signal that the final segment of the evening was ready to roll. Tian Xiwei stood up reluctantly, smoothing her dress once more while Zhang Ling offered an encouraging, supportive nod from the sofa. "Go finish up strong," he whispered with an encouraging smile. "I'll be right here waiting for you when you're done, so we can grab a real meal together." Knowing he would be waiting gave her an extra surge of energy, and she flashed him a brilliant, radiant grin before turning and walking back toward the set with a light and spirited step. The final interview segment went by in a flash of bright lights and lively conversation, with Tian Xiwei glowing with an unmistakable inner radiance that even the cameras couldn't miss. The host of the show, noticing the subtle shift in her energy and the knowing smiles of the crew in the back, playfully hinted at her bright mood, prompting a charming, flustered laugh from the actress. When the cameras finally cut for